So for the women who are thinking of having an affair, who are in the midst of an affair or the midst of an emotional affair that's moving toward a physical affair, this is a wake-up moment for you to understand yourself and what's really going on, because it is the truth of the why that sets us free and moves us forward. Hello, I'm Karen Seitz, and this is the Happy Wife School. This podcast is for married women to realize that we are responsible for our happiness, that no one and no thing can make us happy, and that our husbands are not the source of our unhappiness. In each episode, I red pill married women to know that we are the problem in our marriages to good men. For the good men, this podcast will wake you up to the realities of your wife's woman ways, to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to her emasculation in a constructive, caring way. Before we dive into today's episode, a couple reminders. My message is meant for common and usual marital issues. My podcast is not intended for abusive, violent, or compulsive behaviors in a marriage that are threatening or dangerous. Also, please take a second to visit my website and learn more about my courses, which offer solutions for married women and good men. You can find the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get started. We're talking about why do women cheat? And I'm going to give 3 reasons why do women cheat. A few weeks ago, I did a live show on why good men cheat. So I thought it was important to do a follow-up on why do women cheat, because it comes from a different place in us. Let's get into why do women cheat. So like I said a couple weeks ago, I did a show on why good men cheat. And it's really important right from the get-go. I'm going to do a tiny little synopsis of that good men cheat because as women, we push good men away to make them feel wrong and bad about themselves. We withhold sex, love, affection that makes a good man vulnerable to going outside of his character and integrity to cheat. I do not condone cheating or infidelity by a good man or a woman. It is not something I condone, but it is reasonable and understandable that a good man cheats when he is being treated so poorly by his wife and being emasculated and being made to be wrong and bad and being withheld the very fundamentals of what make a healthy marriage and relationship. The other side of that, and ladies, if we're honest with ourselves, we know this. That's how you want to approach everything I talk about, is having an open mind and a curiosity about yourself, women, to look at yourself and just be honest about these traits that we have so that you can change and heal and grow and actually have a healthy relationship. If we are honest with ourselves, we know as women that we can push a good man and intentionally push a good man away so that they might cheat, so that we have the perfect excuse to point the finger at them and blame them for why the marriage didn't work or the marriage failed, or to have a back door to leave the marriage because we don't want to be the bad guy. So we will intentionally push good men away to be the bad guy, for them to cheat. So we have the perfect excuse that no one will ever question, because everyone will validate us in our experience of being cheated on and how awful and horrible our husband was. And then we never have to look at ourselves and examine our part and role, because yes, we do have a part and role in them cheating or having an affair or an infidelity. And we never have to look at ourselves and take accountability for that. Women, what you want to know is that a good man will never cheat if you treat him with kindness, love, and respect. He will never think of going outside the marriage or never be vulnerable to going against his own character and integrity and infidelity or having an affair if we are just kind, loving, and respectful. And it doesn't take much. Famous words from Dr. Laura: a little lovin', a beer, and a sandwich, and over the moon. I actually, true story, made my husband a sandwich last night, a BLT with avocado, which I think they call it BLAT. I don't know. But he was just like, this is the most, thank you so much. This is amazing. They'll take just little breadcrumbs when we do it from our heart because of the kind of wife and woman we want to be. So it's very, very simple. If you don't want your husband to cheat or have an affair and you want to make sure that doesn't happen, just be kind. Give a little loving and a little respect. And a good man will be faithful forever. So, whereas women, so a good man will never cheat if we are kind and loving toward them, whereas as women, a good man can treat us amazingly with all the love, care, and respect of everything we thought we ever wanted, and we will still cheat. And I know this. I want to make it clear up front, I have never cheated on my husband. I have not had an affair in my marriage. In a previous relationship in my 20s, I did cheat, and I'm going to share from that experience in myself. But what we want to know as women is that we will still cheat. And I also know that we will still cheat because of the number of women I've talked to over the 10 years that I've been teaching and working with women and men, that when I talk with women who are considering having an affair, in the midst of having an affair, they will talk about how wonderful they know their partner or husband is. Generally speaking, I'll say 99% of the women I have worked with or talked to who are having an affair or considering an affair will talk about how amazing and wonderful their husband is, but they just feel that something missing, and they feel they found another man that can give that to them, and they feel justified and entitled to it, even though they know they have a wonderful man by their side. That is 99% of my experience of talking to thousands of women over the last decade, working with hundreds of women over the last decade, that we know who we're married to, and we're married to a good man, yet we still feel entitled and justified to cheat or have an affair. So ladies, the purpose of looking at this today is to not make us bad and wrong as women. I'm not here to bash women. I'm here to empower women because of the wonderful gifts I have found in myself and who I am as a person and a woman. For the women who want to change, who want to be woken up from the unhealthy, toxic behaviors we know we have, I'm here for you to help you take the same path and journey that I did, to discover parts of you and the wonderfulness and the beauty of who you are that we cannot access if we are not seen and given the truth of our women ways. So I'm a person of hope. I'm an optimistic, positive person, and one of my core values is hope and faith. And so I believe that there are many, many women out there who want to be woken up, who want to change. And I know that because 75% of the students I have in my courses are women. So this is to empower you, ladies. It's not to make you bad or wrong. It's to help you look at yourself and understand yourself so that you can change. So for the women who are thinking of having an affair, who are in the midst of an affair, or the midst of an emotional affair that's moving toward a physical affair, this is a wake-up moment for you to understand yourself and what's really going on, because it is the truth of the why that sets us free and moves us forward. So that's why this is for you, and it's also for the good men out there whose wife has had an affair, who is having an affair, who is cheating. So you can also understand the why and find healing in yourself and move forward. So as always, stay with me, because at the end, I'm going to talk about the solution and the perspective to overcome this challenge. It's a very common marital challenge. It's one of the most heartbreaking for both men and women to go through, no doubt, but it's a very, very common marital issue that there is a way forward from and a solution. So stay with me till the end, because that's where we are going. Let's get into the 3 reasons why women cheat. So the first reason, and we're going to look at, I saw somebody had a question They just are entitled. It's maybe not the emptiness. But we want to look at, where does the entitlement come from? What's going on psychologically in us as women, that sense of entitlement to cheat or have an affair is there. And we're going to dig into that. So 3 reasons why women cheat. The first reason why women cheat is limerence. We have an intense obsession. Limerence is an intense obsession for another person. And in this case, for us as women, it is an intense obsession. We experience limerence as women because we have an intense obsession with a bad boy. The only type of man that can give us those obsessed feelings of love and desire and passion is a bad boy. And when I talk about bad boy, this is really important. The opposite of a good man is not a bad man. The opposite of a good man is a bad boy. And a bad boy is someone who is not wired naturally to be monogamous and faithful to a woman and does not treat women well. And bad boy has the capacity to make women feel this intense feeling of passion and love that a good man doesn't have the capacity to make a woman feel. And those intense feelings of passion and love that as women we get from a bad boy are not real. It is a fantasy. I want to get a little more into that. So the reason as women we are so susceptible to limerence, which only happens with a bad boy, is because of our entitled feeling and our entitlement to have someone love us within the illusion that we have about the fantasy of love. As women, we have lived our whole lives thinking that we are supposed to have a deep, passionate love that is on fire, and that fire never gets extinguished. Ladies, it is a fantasy. It does not exist. But that fantasy we have about what love is supposed to be, we only ever get from a bad boy. A good man is not capable of giving that to us. We feel entitled to go outside our marriage and fill that illusion of what we expected our husband to be able to provide to us to make us feel that they can't. One, because it's not real. It doesn't exist. And it can only come from a bad boy. And for most of us as women, when we decided to settle down, when we decided to get married, we chose a good man. And a good man is reliable. He is predictable. He's steady Eddie. And as women, because of where I'm going to go next, the emptiness inside of us and how bored we are with ourselves, we find it boring and unstimulating that our husbands as good men are so reliable, predictable, and steady. So the right bad boy comes along. I mean, we work with a bad boy, we meet a bad boy at the gym. I would say those probably 2 of the most common ways, or maybe social media. I would imagine that's common as well. But the right bad boy comes along and we become obsessed with them. And we'll set off an atomic bomb in our lives and our marriage and our family because we are under the spell of limerence with a bad boy, and it's like a drug. Bad boys are like a drug. We know they're not good for us. We know that they have no value in who we are. They treat us poorly. They have no intentions of having a long-term relationship. They do not mean anything that they tell us. And ladies, you can know it's a bad boy because of those obsessed feelings that you get. It's insatiable. In my teen years and my 20s, I chased bad boys. When I cheated in a relationship, it was with a bad boy. And that was not my marriage. That was in my early 20s, early relationship. And I remember it. It was just like obsessive thoughts, obsessive fantasies in my head of what this life could be, what he could give me that my boyfriend couldn't give me, and it couldn't stop. And so we become desperate for the bad boy's attention and desperate for what we believe in our delusion that they can give us. It's kind of like if we were stuck in the desert and desperate for water, and we see a mirage of water that isn't actually there, that we think is going to satisfy that thirst, that's a woman with a bad boy. We're so desperate for those feelings of passionate love that only a bad boy can give us, that they are the mirage of water in the desert. Another way to look at it, I watched a movie recently, really intense movie, but a really, really good movie called 127 Hours. And it's a true story about a man named Aaron Ralston who was climbing through canyons in Utah, and he slipped through a crevice and a rock fell and his arm got stuck in the rock and he had to remove his arm to save himself. Incredible story, very intense movie, but so good. And when he saves himself and he's trying to get out into safety, he sees a puddle of water that is not good water to drink if you don't have a filter. And he drinks it knowing it's not good for him, but that he needs it and he's getting himself to safety. But that's us as women too with bad boys. We know it's not good for us. We know it's going to cause a lot of destruction, but we go there anyway. We go there anyway. And it becomes all consuming. And then we will blow up our lives for something that's never going to work, that's not going to be a good ending, and it is not based in any kind of reality at all. And so we feel entitled to that, though, because we live in a total delusion that that's actual love, and it is not. So for those wondering, if a good man experiences limerence with a woman in the woman ways that I talk about, what I teach is that a good man doesn't experience, because you would wonder, why would a good man still love and adore his wife so much when she emasculates him and treats him in the ways that I talk about in my videos? Why would he still love and adore her? That must be limerence. But from what I teach and in my experience in working with good men and what my mentor as a good man has taught me, good men don't experience limerence with their wife. That's not why they still love and adore her. It's an extreme neediness that comes and occurs from the withholding from his wife, that she withholds so much and has the capacity in her withholding in narcissistic ways. I'm not talking about the psychological diagnosis of narcissism. I'm just talking about humanness and our narcissistic tendencies. And as women, we have narcissistic tendencies, that in those narcissistic tendencies, we can make our husbands or a man feel that we love them and wrap them in and rope them in. And one of the main ways we do that as women and wives is through the withholding. And that's why a good man can be withheld from for years and years and years and still absolutely love and adore his wife, is because that withholding creates that neediness and love, which is a different experience than the limerence we have as women with bad boys. So why does the obsession of limerence occur? This goes into the second reason of why women cheat. The obsession of limerence with a bad boy occurs with us as women because we have a huge emptiness in us that we are trying to fill. And we do feel entitled to fill that emptiness. So again, number two, the second reason of why women cheat and why also the obsession of limerence occurs, we have a huge emptiness in us that we are trying to fill and we feel entitled to fill. I teach and know that all humans have an emptiness inside of us. This is where our pursuit of happiness stems from. But as women, our emptiness is an abyss. It is so vast and so deep because of how we feel badly about ourselves. I'm going to get more into this. That we chase things in life in our pursuit of happiness to try to fill that emptiness. And part of the reason that we have such a vast emptiness as women is because we are pain avoiders and we starve ourselves of life. So we will do anything to avoid the emotional pain of life, and we'll keep ourselves very small and hiding in life to avoid that pain. And we also do not make ourselves a priority to do the things to care for ourselves, to make sure that we have a full cup and have plenty to give ourselves and plenty to give in our life and in our different relationships and those that we care about. And it feeds the abyss and the emptiness inside of us, that there is something so deeply missing in ourselves that we are desperate to fill that emptiness, which then feeds our entitlement to fill that emptiness. Ladies, what I want you to know and recognize that deeply missing something in you, and I know we all have that as women, all the women I've talked to relate to it. Just no matter what box I check off in life, I still feel like there's something missing. The something missing is you. The something missing is you. We have never learned to connect with ourselves. We have never learned to build a healthy relationship with ourselves and feel good about who we are. And that's what's actually missing. So there's nothing that you're going to go after in life externally of you that is going to fill that emptiness. And certainly no bad boy or other man outside of your marriage is going to fill that emptiness. So some of you often ask, why do we have this emptiness? Why do women feel so bad about themselves? Very simply, the reason women feel so badly about ourselves is because of the choices and decisions that we make in life that diminish us. We have no integrity or character, so we make many, many choices outside of our integrity, outside of character, that diminish our sense of self-value and feeling good about who we are. So it's not our past, it's not our upbringing, it's not our dad, it's not men, it's not your husband. It's the choices and decisions that we make that cause us to feel really bad about ourselves. And so then the depth of which we feel bad about ourselves is the degree to which we will chase something like a bad boy to validate how badly we feel about ourselves. The vast majority of women who will cheat or have an affair is because of how badly they feel about themselves. And the vast majority of women who will cheat or have an affair will be with a bad boy. There's two main reasons as women that we look to a bad boy to fill that emptiness inside of us. One, we want the chaos and drama, because we confuse the chaos and drama that you will always get with a bad boy with passion and love and excitement. When you take a step back, that's so silly, because we can see how destructive we become to ourselves, destructive to our lives, destructive to our husband, our families. Having an affair with a bad boy, or before marriage, getting with a bad boy, we know it's not good for us. We know it's awful. But we want that chaos and drama because we confuse it with passion and love and excitement in life. That's one reason why we crave bad boys. The second reason is to validate how badly we feel about ourselves. And we want a bad boy who's going to treat us so poorly to reinforce that we are a POS and scum of the earth and feel deserving of that. I can't tell you how many women I've talked to who don't feel deserving of the good man that they have, and then create that as a justification, an entitlement to go outside the marriage, have an affair, and be with a bad boy who treats them terribly. Those are the two main reasons why. So we want them to treat us badly to validate how badly we feel about ourselves. And we want the chaos and drama because we think that's the excitement. And the worse we feel about ourselves as women, the deeper the emptiness and the more desperation we have to search for something to fill that emptiness. The women who are going to have an affair or cheat are the women who feel the worst about themselves and hate themselves and do not like themselves, which again stems from the choices and decisions they make in their life to devalue themselves and diminish themselves. Number 3, this leads to number 3. Why do women cheat? Why do married women have affairs? Number 3, we never feel a sense of responsibility to the commitment we made when we got married. I've talked about this before. As women, we have no sense of commitment, no sense of the vows that we are taking and that they actually mean something. We don't stop to think about the decision we are making and getting married and what that's going to ask of us. So we have no sense of commitment, and we never feel a sense of integrity or character to follow through with our vows. So we become incredibly self-centered. that we cannot consider anyone else. We can't consider our children, can't consider our husband. So we will have an affair because we feel entitled to give us what we think will make us happy and fill those feelings of emptiness. And we only think of, in that self-centeredness, we only think of what we need, and that our needs are the only thing that matter. We lack the capacity in making a decision to cheat or have an affair of how that's going to impact our husband, or how that's going to impact our kids or impact the family. Because again, of that entitlement and self-centeredness and no sense of responsibility to the commitment that we made. And we begin to build a case for our justification of why we're going to cheat and why we need to do that, and look for the reasons why our husband isn't measuring up, isn't doing the things to make us happy, that the marriage isn't fulfilling us. When I have talked to women over the years who are having an affair, who want to have an affair, even though they know what they're doing is wrong, they are like desperate in seeking some sort of justification that it's okay. And I don't give that to them. I try to kind of hammer it in of like, what are you doing? How is this making you feel about yourself? And where's your integrity? And I always work with women in a kind, loving, non-judgmental way, because the ideal outcome is change and healing and waking up from the delusion that we live in. But women, when I talk to them, they're having affairs, it's like everything I say will go over their head because they are in that extreme self-centeredness and feel completely justified and have no sense of the commitment that they made. And they're looking for someone to validate them and justify why they're going to have an affair. So those are the three ways, or the three reasons why women cheat. Number one, limerence. That women, we have this fantasy of what love is supposed to be, and we want passion and desire and an on-fire love, and the only type of man that can give that to us is a bad boy. So the right bad boy comes along, and we become obsessed with them and desperate for their love and attention, which is limerence. And then we get caught up in it like a drug and can't stop. The second reason a woman will cheat or have an affair is that we have a huge emptiness inside of us that we are trying to fill and feel entitled to fill. That's where our pursuit of happiness comes. And number three, we never feel a sense of responsibility to the commitment we made and the vows we took when we got married. So we are in an extreme self-centeredness and selfishness that we feel entitled and justified to an affair. So now I'd like to move a little bit into the solution. So ladies, this first part's for the ladies, then I'm going to talk to the men, for those that are struggling and have been hurt by their wife having an affair, or that is currently going on, or you're worried about it. So ladies, I'm talking to you first. This is a wake-up call. If you are thinking of having an affair, you are cheating, you are having an affair, you need to stop and consider and look at what you are doing. You are most likely involved with a bad boy who does not treat you well, but you are infatuated with and desperate for because he makes you feel the fantasy of love. It's time to grow up and to know that that experience and what you are feeling is not real. It is a fantasy. It has no basis in reality. You are living in the most far-reached, out there romantic comedy you could think of. It is not real, and it is not going to have a good ending. You are going to blow up and destroy your husband and your family and your kids for something that does not exist, is not based in reality, and is ultimately going to destroy you in the process as well. So if you are in this situation or thinking of it, it is time to put your big girl pants on and step up to the commitment that you made, the choices you made, and the responsibilities that come with that, and get out of fantasy land. That it is time to grow up and put down the fantasy of love. It does not exist. The rom-coms are so out there and far reach because they're not reality. And you will find You want to know that the real reason of what you are feeling in your life, that you are so desperate to have those feelings of love that you will break your vows and have an affair. It isn't something missing in your marriage. It is not something missing that your husband is not giving you. Ladies, it's something missing in you, and that is you. And that's why I teach the solution is learning to be happy in yourself, which comes from doing the hard things in life, making choices out of integrity and character, and taking responsibility for the choices you have made, and learning to feel good about the person that you are on the inside. And when you do that, you will value yourself enough and make yourself important enough to you that you would never go against your morals to have an affair or cheat. And you will begin to see the wonderful, amazing man that you are married to and have a depth of connection and intimacy with him that far surpasses any fantasy of passion and desire a bad boy could give you. There is a depth of experience and profoundness in marriage when you can bring your whole self of who you are into the marriage and find the true nature of your loving, kind, nurturing ways in you, for you, and to give that freely in your marriage with your husband and married to a good man, the dance that you will have together, the true intimacy that you will have, can't even come close to the feelings that we get with a bad boy, because those are not real. So it's time to grow up, like I said. It's time to work on you. The reason you're having an affair or considering having an affair isn't anything to do with your husband or your marriage. It is all about you and how you feel poorly about yourself, that's what you need to work on. For the men, it's interesting that a woman can be with a good man and he will never cheat if she is just loving and kind, genuinely. And that unfortunately, there is nothing a good man can do or change or stop doing that can prevent your wife from having an affair. And not all women will have an affair. Like I said, the women who are going to have an affair or cheat, like I did in my early 20s and a previous relationship before I got married, it was a result of how badly I felt about myself on the inside. And then the entitlement I had to pursue what I thought would make me happy, which was the fantasy of love. But the women who will cheat are the ones who feel so poorly about themselves. So not all women are going to cheat or have an affair on their husbands, but for those men who are experiencing that or scared you might be experiencing that or it's going to happen, you need to know you've done nothing wrong and that there's nothing you can do to stop your wife from doing what she is going to do. That she feels entitled to it and she's going to do what she wants to do. And I know this is hard to hear, and I'm not at all making excuses for women. I don't condone cheating for women or for men, but good men need to know, because you get wrapped up into the brainwashing that she's made you feel it's somehow your fault and something you have done, that you need to know it's nothing you have done and that it is not personal to who you are as a good man and the person that you are. This is a woman in her woman ways, where if a woman is going to cheat or have an affair, again, not making excuses for her, but it's as if she can't even help herself because she's so stuck in the entitlement and self-centeredness. So if you're looking for how to move forward, if this is happening in your marriage, the most important thing that you do is work on yourself to build your strength and confidence back up as a good man, which is what I teach men, so that you can have clarity on how you want to move forward and what aligns with what is important to you and your values, so that you can make a decision to either stay or go and take responsibility for that choice. And if you are choosing to stay, you need to rebuild yourself and rebuild your strength and confidence. And then it's what good men do so naturally, is practicing forgiveness and looking at how can we move forward, how can we become stronger, how can we rebuild, and hopefully being able to work together to do that. I do. I've talked with plenty of men, have known good men in my life who stay after an affair or affairs because they stay for the children's sake. They stay for what's important to them and their faith or their religion. And it's just part of their values. And then there's also good men who, once a woman has an affair, that's not a relationship they want to continue, and that is valid and reasonable. So I'm not telling any good man that he should stay with a woman once this happens, but the truth is, for many good men, they want to find a way to move forward and make it work, and often for the kids' sake if they have a family. Those are the solutions for men and for women. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. If you haven't, go check me out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can find the links in the description below to connect with me there. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility and change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Course for Good Men Only that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.